Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday and welcome into our latest Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Deals. Today, we're actually going to bring on Big Mike from Advanced Nutrients, one of the most polarizing guests that we've ever had on this platform, to talk about why rescheduling not only is important to the North American U.S. market, but also the EU. Why? Lots to dive into. Plus, we're going to get his take on some of these explosive numbers coming out of Germany and really what the EU landscape is going to look like over the next 2 to 3 years. So with that, let's welcome in AV here on a Tuesday afternoon. This should be a good one, but interesting to learn as we got going here, as we were talking to Big Mike before we got started, that not only is rescheduling important in the U.S., it's going to have a huge impact on how the EU views it as well.
Yeah, it's good to see that the rescheduling initiative could have a global impact. And I mean, it's also good to see that there's some true differences in cultivation and technology and in just the way that the industries are forming on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah, makes sense. Big Mike from Advanced Nutrients. Let's welcome him in back to the podcast. Good to see you, sir. How are things?
Hey, Shad, Anthony, glad to be back on the show. Things are doing well. Our sales are doing well. We're up 46% from last February. We've already broken last quarter, our first quarter of last year. We've already broken it within the first week of March, so we're very happy. We're moving along, taking market share, and it's fun. It's fun when you're winning. I hate to lose, but winning is a lot of fun.
Well,
Yeah.
we actually had a company on last week that talked about they had organics in their name and how quality obviously is more important than quantity, which I think a lot of cannabis consumers would say, thanks, Captain Obvious. That's, of course, the reason. But are we at a stage now, when we look at yields and margins with a lot of specific companies that are reporting their latest earnings, that they're starting to understand more just the overall quality and how it's needed?
Yeah, like most all the producers out there are trying to figure out how they can produce a pound of cannabis for the lowest price.
Right.
Which is great. There's a market for that, but there's also a market for premium, and growing premium takes someone actually cultivators who care. And the best facilities that we found are when you put them on a bonus plan, the cultivators, they will actually start policing themselves and getting rid of the low performers because they want that bonus. And you'd be surprised. You start the bonuses, I think about anything over 2.5 pounds of light, and anything over that, those guys get 9-10% of that, and spread up amongst the cultivators. Ooh, it changes the dynamics of the grow operation overnight.
Incentives go a long way.
Yeah, they
incentives
do.
Go a real
And it's
long
not
way.
a lot. It's not a look.
Yeah.
You're giving up 10% and you get 90 back because they're working harder and they're caring and they're watching the set points for the dry backs and they're making sure the atmosphere conditions are right.
Yes.
And they're getting enough water, all that stuff. All of a sudden people start paying attention more.
Well,
Money what money does.
I keep hearing this term over and over from a number of executives the last couple of weeks, and the word trust. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, if you're in business, of course, trust is just common knowledge. You need to have that. Otherwise, don't start a business. However, in this industry, because you have this illicit market, this is where I'm understanding that trust comes into play, which is why it's more importance and an emphasis to have quality product. Because if you have quality, it's going to separate yourselves from the regulated market to the illicit market. You want to elaborate off of that? And do you agree with that?
Yeah. What's your reputation worth?
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
And so you want to be known for high quality. We have a OMRI listed and OIM listed organic line specifically for cannabis. It just crushes it. We got guys in Northern California that are using it now that used to be making their home brews, and they're doing extremely well with it. And Ridgeline Farms, for one, he's been able to bring out brands because the quality is so good, and he's been able to build a business for himself, not just be a grower, but actually have a brand, which is nice.
Yeah.
With having insights on both sides of the pond and being able to actually see how the sausage is made, let's see from everywhere from California to Germany. Do you see congruency and quality over in the European Union right now, like what you're getting out of California, or are they still a couple of years behind in terms of technology and just their growing practices as a whole?
They're learning. They're still learning. There's a few of them that have done extremely well. We helped one guy in Portugal, H. Baradas, and he's growing some of the highest quality cannabis in the EU. And he's got to spend $10 million on a Priva system. So our guys know Priva, Argus, you name it, whatever. We got you covered. But there's a lot of good quality coming from California. So
Yeah.
let's talk. Let's
I was
talk
gonna
about
say
that.
that
Let's. You want to know who the largest seller to Europe is?
who
It's
Yeah.
California by far. And let me explain. So we hire a guy named Bo Whitney. He's an economist and studies cannabis and
great guy.
very accurate, 98.7% accuracy. 22 million pounds a year are produced from the state of California. 50 million pounds a year are produced in America.
Hmm.
Guess what? 15 million pounds is being exported from the state of California
California into Europe.
every year. I don't know where all that cannabis is going, but I have a great idea. In fact, listen, you're dealing with guys who had really great networks during the traditional market and still have those ways and means of getting stuff to where they want to get it. And it's finding its way into Europe. Everybody is salivating over Germany. Of course, everybody says Germany, 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 but how much can you actually pump into Germany? What's that market going to be? Right now, it's about 800, $900 million market. By 2028,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be 2 billion. It's huge, but they can only produce so much. And the Germans aren't stupid; they're smart. I mean, look at the BMWs, Mercedes they make. They're
Right.
great vehicles, and they're going to figure out how to grow cannabis in ways that we would probably make our heads spin in some of the ways. And I could see Germany becoming a major exporter globally. Why? No taxation. They tax it like a legal business. They treat it like a regular business instead of being this dirty little business that came from the traditional market and is now in the hands of legal people. No, they're doing it the right way.
Hmm.
Do you
And
think
so
that
Germany,
flips?
go ahead.
Do you think that flips though, as we start to see regulation in the U.S. and we start to see, let's say, rescheduling, the legitimization of the industry, that California starts to become, let's say, a global exporter of
Yeah,
cannabis, or even South America starts to become a global exporter, because we all know what goes on south of the equator, and I mean, it's a hell of an environment for ag
yeah.
long
You
term.
brought that up. So yeah, Colombia has great soil and
Yep.
great. There's certain microclimates around the world that are really good to grow cannabis. I've always said it's going to be in South America, Africa
Yep.
is going to be where the biggest providers are. You have cheap land, cheap labor. They were saying that they can pump out a gram for 4 cents a gram. I don't know how
Yeah.
good the quality is. Or never tried it. Can't say. And so then they'll probably make it in a distillate, and you're going to see a big resurgence of vape pens. I would guess by the Marlboro, those kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be bringing out vape pens.
Well, you bring up California. How do you compete against costs, with a country like Colombia? Are you yeah, you've got Canada, you've got Colombia right now. They're basically exporting a lot of product into Germany, but you think California, well, it's already taking place right
I
now,
think, yeah,
right?
if you have a choice, you put a bag of Columbia weed in front of me and a Cali bag. I'm sorry,
It's,
I'm taking the Cali bag
yeah.
because I know that the growers here are the best growers in the
Yeah.
world and the best cannabis I've ever smoked. No offense to anyone in the world, there's a lot of great growers out there. Has been absolutely from California. They're on
Yeah.
where we are on the bleeding edge of genetics, everything here.
So one of the things I learned is that the regulated market costs less than the illicit market, which is something that is interesting and it's great to
Interesting.
hear in the German market. Go
Yeah.
finish your thought,
I
Anthony.
was going to say in Germany. I was going to say
Yes.
big caveat.
Yeah, in Germany. But, if California is exporting the most weed, that's getting into the illicit market. Obviously, Germans
Yeah.
are a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to consuming cannabis than what we're giving credit for. So, if a lot of this regulated product is cheaper, how do you see this converting, or will it convert at all if they're getting better
Yeah,
quality
will.
from
I mean,
California?
Germany's going to start growing their own, and they're going to sell it vertically within their own country. And they'd be foolish to go outside unless it was a really specialized product that a certain brand had, or they wanted to carry a well-known Cali brand or even a well-known European brand that has yet to be invented. In fact, I don't see a standout global brand yet in cannabis. It will happen. I don't know who it will be and when it will be, but that's definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you talk about illicit market in California. It's by 2028, where it's at 15 million now that goes out, 50 million pounds, it's going to go down to 9.7 million pounds. So
Okay.
why is that? Because other states are going to be coming on board, and other countries are going in Europe. You got the big five. You got United Kingdom, you got Italy, Spain, France, and Germany. That's it. That's where the money's at. France has got this pilot program now,
Yeah.
but France does about 350 million in cannabis. Why? Hemp. They're one of the major hemp producers in Europe.
I did
So
not
in
know that. Do
Spain,
you know that,
in
Anthony?
Spain,
Yeah.
yeah, Spain, there's 5 facilities built, getting ready for the medical that's coming to Spain.
Wow.
So
And
there's a lot of infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure that's currently underway over there. I mean, one thing that we do talk about a lot is, or not within the cannabis industry, but at large right now, is AI. Are you seeing any advancements in AI, especially as it pertains to, let's say, synergistically working with the nutrients that you're producing and providing for cultivators?
it's already being done. We're already working
Okay.
on it. Been working on it. Yeah, that's you'll see in 2026 an AI version, advanced nutrients AI, come out, and you'll be able to just plug in your strain. There'll be a time, it's not yet, where there'll be like a barcode or a QR code, and that will be the strain's entire genome.
Hmm.
And you will
Okay.
feed that into a system, our system, and that system will go, oh, this plant is going to have to be raised in this environment for this kind of a output that you're looking for. That's where we're going. You're going to see spectral analysis coming in very shortly. They're already doing it in 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 uh, in Israel. Also in Israel, I saw a couple of things. I signed some NDAs, but I'll tell you what it is. They can actually grow trichomes. I saw it in
Really?
bags. It looks like something out of like some space movie,
Seriously.
from
Yeah.
Space Odyssey or something. But there's these bags. There's no huge lights there or nothing like that driving it, and it's in this solution. And they're growing trichome heads from specific strains. And I asked them, will you be able to gene edit and be able to edit out certain cannabinoids and upregulate certain different kinds of cannabinoids? They said, yeah, it takes us about 2 years per thing, and we're working on that to get it faster and faster. I don't see that in a direct competition. By the way, I asked him for a sample because I wanted to see how good it was. They wouldn't give it to me. I tried
Okay.
though, and it probably in pharma is where you're going to see that, because of the consistency, and it doesn't take up a heck of a lot of spaces compared to growing it indoors or
Yeah.
outdoors or
Right.
greenhouse.
So speaking of Israel, I mean, I know in very early innings of the industry, let's say 2014, 2015,
Sure.
2016, we were hearing a ton of stuff coming out of Israel
Yeah.
as it relates to
Mhm.
medical research, just and the industry as a whole. Is that industry there still intact and still innovating at the rate that we saw early
It's
on?
it's probably not innovating at the rate, but what they know is incredible.
Okay.
Again, CanMed is coming up in June
Yep.
of this year, right after I think it's right before Mary Jane Berlin, and that's where the smartest guys are in the world when it comes to cannabis. And if you want to find out anything about cannabis, these guys are an open book, and I can
Okay.
guarantee you, if you're a company and you send the right person there, you will have valuable information that you'll be able to take back home and be
Huh.
able to use. So our industry is growing. As you said, Israel. The reason I brought up CanMed, quite a few scientists from Israel come there, and they're there
Okay.
speaking, and you get to meet them. And the things I've been in their labs, and especially one Canisol, Dr. Didi Mayer. He's an amazing individual. I saw for wounds, skin assays that were laid out, 20 of them, and based on different cannabinoids and terpenes, the wounds would close at different rates. We know that if you get the right strain it will close the wound much, much faster. He also has a product for chemotherapy that makes a chemotherapy 20 times more potent, so means you can use less of the chemotherapy with the same results. There's going to be some amazing things. Aspirin's going to be, they say, replaced by canaflavoid. I don't know if it's one or two, one of them. And the best of cannabis is yet to come, and Israel is probably the smartest place, has the smartest scientists in the world. I was at Volcani Institute. I went to Tecton, which is like their MIT.
Yep.
Talked to them. Listen, they're on everything. Spectral analysis, they're way ahead of a lot of folks when it comes to that.
Does the U.S. still have the opportunity, if they reschedule cannabis, to be the world leader in research, or has the train left the station?
There's so much money in the U.S. GW spent a lot in the UK. Yeah, you'll definitely see research money pouring into cannabis, especially in the pharma and the nutraceutical area. You're going to see a lot of cool things coming.
Yeah. Well, we talked yesterday on our live stream about just where is it not accessible, medical cannabis. And, I know people complain about, we need to get rescheduling, but my thoughts were, if you reschedule, it's just the whole perception and stigma starts to change more and more. You have doctors start to look at it in a different light. And some of these examples that you just indicated, people may not look at it with hesitancy. They may say, yes, this is actually what we've been talking about that follow the industry closely. This stuff works a lot more effectively what the current model is. But you talk about the impact of rescheduling, what will happen on the U.S., but not only the U.S., but globally as well. Do you want to elaborate off of that?
Sure. Yeah. The United Nations Drug Control Treaty has scheduled cannabis as a Schedule 1. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
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 And that's because the United States dictates its drug policy around the world. So when we go from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, bet you donuts to dollars, there's a lot of countries will all of a sudden change very, very quickly, and that will change the landscape globally very fast.
Like real fast, you think?
Faster than you could probably imagine. It's already moving fast. This industry is moving faster than I can keep up.
I know.
It's just so many different things are happening.
Yeah. Do you think Trump's administration right now is fielding calls behind the scenes? Like, I know it's gone quiet right now. We saw some news earlier this week that indeed the public information about the DEA from the Biden administration was indeed biased. And, we can sit here and scratch our heads, whatever. Those people are out. There's new people in with involved the agency and the administration now. But now that we're in this play, do you think that there is stuff going on behind the scenes and how they're working towards this? Or do you think it's just something they're not really thinking about at this time?
There's definitely talk going on right now about it, but the administration's got their hands full.
Yeah, I hear you.
They got to warn Ukraine. They got to get that straightened out. There's the Middle East. There's a few things that I think are more concerning to American people than the rescheduling of cannabis. I would just tell our industry, including all the folks that watch your show, just be patient.
Yeah.
Be persistent. Put pressure. Don't be obnoxious. Talk about the jobs, talk about the veterans, and talk about medical cannabis. And don't try to push any other kind of agendas and stuff. Just get that. Just start somewhere. Start with. I would love to see rescheduling because it'll open up the whole world to a whole new reality.
Yeah. So if we get rescheduling announced and you say things will start to move very fast, more notably in the EU market, how do you see things kind of like when you talk about things will move fast? What are notable changes that you'll see even from a cultivation standpoint?
Well, look at Italy. Medical marijuana is grown by the military.
Wow.
They don't know how to scale.
Wow.
And then there's a new government in there that's talking about cannabis, maybe raising the percentage a little bit higher. They have what they call soft cannabis there. That market is not doing as well as it could because people are dragging their feet on medical cannabis. You see it around Europe, but they're very conservative about who gets the licenses. One of the biggest things you want to push for is pain and sleep, because older people have, aches and pains, and cannabis helps it quite a bit. And then, of course, people have a lot of problems with sleep. That's how I get to sleep every night. Go do a big old bong rip, one or two of them, and adios, amigos. I'm down. Yeah.
I love the bluntness.
That's true though. I mean, that's why a lot of people do use cannabis
Yep.
for sleep, and it works.
Yeah. And now back to France. France loves hash. Let's talk about
Yes,
Morocco.
yes, they do.
I've been to the Reef Valley. I met the dudes. I met them all, like the ones that I needed to meet. And it's funny. One guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I'm a transporter." Because he
Okay.
knew I was a transporter, right? Anyway, so it was pretty cool. But they pump a hell of a lot of hash into Europe, and there's a lot of hash in the UK. There's a lot in France, all over Europe. So Morocco, and by the way, it's legal now in 3 of the provinces in the Reef Valley to grow,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and so they have different grades of the hash.
Hmm.
They're Beldia.
Well,
Yeah.
so when we look at Germany, it's got importing licenses like versus say a lot of the other EU countries. There have
Mhm.
stuff coming in from Canada, from Colombia, any other countries. I'm thinking if I'm missing off the top of my head, but how do
Australia.
yeah, Australia as well. So how do you see that kind of developing? Like, will each country kind of develop their own system, or will everything be built within Germany and dispersed across the EU? Like, how does that sort of come to fruition?
I think they're just getting a jump start. They're getting the market moving. They're bringing in imports, and then eventually they're building these huge facilities. You can see who they're lining up. The locals are lining up with the big boys from the U.S., and they're going to build huge facilities, and they're going to be growing cannabis for that marketplace.
Hmm. Lots of change
And
happening.
every country first will start with medical, and they probably do it as an import, and then they'll decide to put out some licenses. We know how it goes. Then eventually, the real money's always in the recreational part of the market.
Yep. I want to go back to the AI question that you asked, Anthony, because that was a really good one. And let's face it, you and I have been to a lot of facilities where we've seen plants kind of up and down. That's not necessarily a good thing, but when you see a lot of plants that are uniform and same size, that's always the result of a good grower. But when you look at AI, Mike, is this going to make the process from seed to sale that much quicker?
100%.
Yeah.
Because the cultivation part that we're working on right now is just one aspect.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at the whole supply chain. How can we digitize that and make it real in front of a computer for a person to understand where their products are, where they're going, what shelf they're sitting in, who's buying, and what are the demographics of the person that's buying in that dispensary. What strains are they looking for? What are the older folks looking for? What are the younger folks looking for? And have those products
And
that they're
one of the
looking for.
things too, one of the things too, which I think would be more so robotics versus AI. We've been in these facilities. There's a
Yeah,
hell of a lot of people in these facilities, and I think
yeah,
automation and robotics are going to refine the
Yeah.
processes and also expedite them to a certain degree. Because realistically, in these high-profile indoor grows, there needs to be as little human interaction as possible
Yeah.
within that product, and that's going to hit that aha moment once robotics really start to fire here.
Primo already does that. There's
Yeah,
a company called C4 in the desert here, and they're putting it together, and it's automated. These tables are freaking
it's
huge,
crazy. Yeah,
like giganormous.
yeah,
And it just brings it to a group of people. They delete it. It goes out, goes back to the next place it has to go. Next tray comes, and that's all fully automated. And you're right, automation is going to be a big, big thing.
Huge.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a brother-in-law in his early 30s, and he's designed a lot of the automation for these large greenhouses, and it's on the produce side. But these produce facilities are right next door to where a Fria Diamond Tilray is, and it's so sophisticated because some of these farms, like where you are at the base in the shipping receiving area, is like a mile down the road from like where some of the actual like this is how far these facilities expand, but it's crazy what automation is doing. And one of the things I found interesting is that a lot of the automation that a lot of local farmers here that was designed was from the Dutch. So whenever there's any problems, they have everything labeled in Dutch. So they have to bring these guys overseas to fix everything. So there's cost
yeah,
involved in that. And at the
uh,
same
Yeah.
time, the people implementing the automation keep their worth because everything is in that language. But now they're starting to see opportunities. But these guys are in their early 30s, and they've got investors throwing money at them because they're the future, and that's what it's all about, right?
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'm talking also like the Tesla Optimus like robots, like just going 24/7 throughout the facilities, just making sure everything's going, because these really are rudimentary tasks. When
Yeah.
you're talking about trimming and just everything that goes on, it's very laborious, but you don't really need humans to do it.
Yeah. It's
It'll
wild.
be interesting to see. I've had
Yeah.
people come to me about automation. They go, you know, your warehouse, we could run the whole thing with one person.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
wild.
I'm like, what? He goes, oh yeah, we took a warehouse had 200 people in it, and there's just like one person that runs that thing and a couple of repair guys, and that's it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you
Yeah.
don't got to worry about
He said
contamination.
the machines go so fast they have to shut the entire facility down or a section you're in to walk because you'll get run over by these things because they're moving so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard stories when Tilray made changes from an operational standpoint, going from a FRIA 1 to a FRIA Diamond. They had 900 people in there, and it was subtracted down to like 60 within a
That's
matter of
crazy
18
from a
months.
business perspective. 900 people in a facility, like that's a lot of
A lot.
OpEx
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
What was the automation system they put in that did that? You remember?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could ask, but there's some pretty advanced stuff just because
That'd be a pretty cool show to do is show the future of automation, what it's going to look like in cannabis.
Trulieve has apparently one of the most sophisticated facilities in the country in Jeffco, in Jefferson County, up in the Panhandle of Florida, but no cameras are allowed in there, from my understanding, which is rightly so. But yeah, we've tried, but I've heard that there's nobody in there. It's completely automated for the most part.
Really?
With
Good for them.
very
Yeah.
limited human interaction.
Yeah.
That's how she's
Yeah.
pumping out 62% margins in Florida. Ever since Jeffco came online, the margins just expanded.
Yeah, I like
because
that.
the OpEx went down.
Your EBITDA was 420 or something like this.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, these facilities that are here, they're minimum $400 million, and there's not one. There are like 20 of them just in one town. But the produce that you're getting at your Publix and Kroger across the U.S. is coming from. It's like the greenhouse capital of North America, but some pretty sophisticated stuff. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Curtis Anders from South Point Automation. So there you go. Hopefully he likes that. But listen, this has been great. Kind of shedding some light on the European market, but I like the idea too, just about rescheduling. Like, this is not only an American issue, but this is a global issue. And if we were to get one stroke of the pen to get this changed, you can understand what the true potential is globally, because we all know one thing in this industry: it has a certain stigma. But as soon as rescheduling happens with the greatest economy that the world has seen, meaning the US, it has a domino effect globally, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yep. All right.
The U.S. produces 91% of the world's cannabis right now. 2.6% or something is being produced in Europe of the world's cannabis.
91%. Who would ever thought when you got into this space? How many years ago, Big Mike?
Jesus, I was 23 years old. I grew my first. Actually, I didn't even grow it. I tried to grow it and I killed it. My first plant, 1983. So yeah, a lot of crazy stories. I've seen a lot of undulations. I've seen, it's really great to see how enthusiastic the Cannabis Round Table guys are, and all the council is, and it's great. And we have to keep that enthusiasm up, but just be prepared for maybe a little bit longer road. If we get lucky and something moves,
Yeah.
good for us. Good for us.
Would you even known what the word automation meant back when you're 23 in this space, right?
Funny enough, when I was about 25, I went to an ag show in the Netherlands, and I was exposed to Argus and Priva. And I saw that stuff. I go, one day, this is all going to be in cannabis. They had some of the coolest looking things, rolling tables, all that. So I actually bought some rolling tables. And I had a few grow ops during my traditional market day that had rolling tables and everything, because I wanted to be cool like the guys in the Netherlands. So anyways.
That's awesome. Okay.
But,
quality versus quantity. If people want to reach you, how do they get a hold of you again?
Boy, the easiest way, sales@advancednutrients.com. Sales@advancednutrients.com. We check it multiple times a day. If you're interested, we would love to see you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Always good catching up with you. And hopefully we run into some of these shows coming up here in the spring. But Germany sounds like fun. Maybe that's a trip that we got to attend with you. How's that sound?
I would love it. I would
Yeah.
love for you guys to be in booth with us, and there'll be no shortage of content. By the way, last year it was 2 pavilions, Mary Jane Berlin. This year it's five pavilions, all sold out.
Really?
275,000 people are expected this year in Berlin, making it the biggest cannabis show in the world now, Mary Jane Berlin.
Sounds like MJ Biz 2016, back
Yeah.
when things were booming. Yeah.
Aren't they bringing Aren't they bringing the Concorde back, Anthony? We could be there in 3 hours.
Man, I wish.
Yeah.
You know what? I never had them when I was young. I never had the money to fly on that thing, and I always wanted to fly. And when I did get the money, the damn thing, got grounded. Unfortunately,
They're coming back. They had a supersonic. I
But,
forget the company's name, but they've got the supersonic flights now going from New York to London.
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That should be. They should be
20,
commercialized
30 or
in the next
something they're talking
2-3
about.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonder how that would feel off a takeoff being in one of those. But I learned a story as to why they landed that, because the people that flew those planes, it was people from a family of means, and they had the power to basically to shut that down. So, yeah, it would be amazing, obviously, to see that back, and rest in peace to all the people that lost their lives. That was back how many years ago now in France after that takeoff? Was that 20 years ago?
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, always good catching up with you. And yeah, that sounds like fun. We'll have to look more into that. But Berlin, that's in June of 2025, correct? And
Right.
200.
Yep. June 12th, 16th. We have to be in CanMed in San Juan, Puerto Rico, around, I think it's the 16th, and I got to leave there on the 18th. So it's going to be, I think it's the 16th through the 22nd, or 19th through the 22nd in Mary Jane Berlin.
Okay.
100% on that.
Well, you're seeing less shows in North America, but you think that there's going to be a pickup in Europe over these next couple of years with a lot of events?
You're not seeing a lot of big shows in America. What we're seeing now are smaller regional
ones.
shows, especially hash. Hash is really gaining ground, and you see a lot of rosin shows and hash shows now that are regional, and you don't see as many big shows. I think eventually a lot of these shows are going to die down. There'll be 1 or 2 big ones and a bunch of smaller regional, like for best grower award, best hash maker, those kind of things. You'll see.
Are you guys heading up to Hall of Flowers?
Oh yeah. We have a booth there this year. We got the whole team's going up there and going to work the show hard.
Yeah.
Well, you live and learn in this industry, and we are learning, aren't we?
We are, every day. I always say, if I don't learn something new every day, I wasn't paying attention.
That's right.
It's true.
Think
All right, guys.
Think big with Big Mike. Appreciate it. Let's keep in touch, okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our latest podcast. What'd you all think? Is there any information that we're missing? Is there anything you want us to cover? As these industries heat up, we're getting access to more and more big hosts. So let us know the questions that you want us to ask for you. As usual, smash that like button. We want this to go viral. Click on that bell for all notifications for the latest interviews that we're doing. And as usual, let's build this community. Subscribe to our channel because we appreciate it, because we wouldn't be here without you. Thanks for watching, everyone.